sound-wise. All right, so shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000, shalom. All right, so Lord willing, we're finna go camp with the brothers, and throughout I've been in the midst of watching Daniel chapter 7 break down older lesson of Elder Apostle Rumlad, and through the Spirit, Lord willing, we'll go into that soon as well. Me and the brother Hadabiar, brother Kakam Gabar, Lord willing, soon. But in the midst of us, in the midst of me watching that lesson, just seeing, going into the history of, of the wars and, and the things that that took place in prophecy for each empire to come into rulership, and ultimately, it was all given through the spirit of power, how about Shem shot through, most I put the spirit on them, like when it speaks about in Isaiah chapter 44, I want to say in verse 28 where it says, I will put let's go to that real fast. Just showing you how the Most High, he controls all these things. He set all these things up for it to be for it to play out how it's supposed to play. Right? This is Isaiah 44 and 28. It says, that saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple, the foundation shall be laid. When you understand it, Cyrus, right, when they took down the Medo-Persian Empire, and they took down the Babylonians, it was like basically like a surprise sneak attack. I was looking at it earlier, looking into it. They say how they caught them when they was at a festival drunk, things that such. And another account was talking about how they dried up the water, say the Euphrates or whatever. But ultimately you see how it wasn't no. I mentioned that to say, to showing you that it wasn't no bombing, no war things like that. So when you read Isaiah 13, you knowing that's not talking about ancient Babylonian Empire, because they didn't go out like that. But back to the point, that's a lesson for another day. But back to the point, just how the Most High controlled all things, and how all things was set up, for them, for how it was going to go, right? And how each group, each empire, had its time to rule. How each empire had its set time to what they would rule, fulfill prophecy. When they was done fulfilling what Yahweh Shah set for them to do, the next empire would come up. And we know that there was four beasts. And that that fourth beast, they had that little horn, which is America, which is stemmed from which is ultimately America is that revised from an empire. So first I want to start with Lord willing. So this one ain't gonna be too long. 2nd Ezra 12, 2nd Ezra 11, right? And around verse bear with me. Yeah, right here at verse 37, it says, "And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood, and I saw here he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and that eagle is representative of the Roman Empire, and that lion represented Yahweh Shah. And it says, and said, Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it remainest of the four beasts, whom I made reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them?" So understanding that America is the revised Roman Empire, Revelation 13:2, right? But understanding the fact of that, it says that the end time might come through them, that fourth beast, right? That fourth beast is the rise of the empire, that the end time is going to come through them, which showing you, right? That we're in that time of the beast. We're in that time of the fourth beast now. I read verse 40 says, "And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, that which much wicked oppression and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit." And we understand it. At the time, the ancient Roman Empire had things like Asia Minor, parts of Africa, things of that such. They had it. They ruled the known world at the time. But even when you understand it today, there are 4 beasts who divides of empire, which that 4 beasts is still in rulership. America has that blessing. Esau's blessing been fulfilled in this beast system here. You know, America has that rule over the whole world. Right now you have the thing with the straits going on over there in the Middle East, where, you know, Russia, China, and Iran, they basically coming together to what they said was a want to create a multipolar, you know, thing. I forgot exactly what it's called, but basically to stop the U.S. dominance over the whole world. They want to make it to where everybody have their own portion, right? So the U.S. won't have the most dominant. And you see that 4 beasts having this dominance over the whole world, because that was his blessing, you know, because each system had a time to rule, right? Each empire had a time to rule, which America is coming up. Was it the 250th year on July 4th? It would be, you know. And but it's also made me think about what I wanted. It's like I was gonna go somewhere. I read that was that the 4 beasts? Slakia. I want to go to 2nd Esdras, right? Because now we're in that transitioning period to where we knew that, you know, all these kingdoms would rule in the last, right? Let's see. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2, right? Because now, you know, with all this war and this thing that's going on, you have the earth trembling, man. You have the earth, you know, being destroyed. You have the people being killed. You have things. So you got people who, you know, look what's going on over there. Well, you know, you having kids being killed. You having all these things, man. What they call it, genocide, whatever they call it. You know, you having all these atrocities going on, you know, within the world, man, within the earth, you know, because of the fact of, you know, the sons of power, right? The princes of power, right? Nation of Israel, Hebrew Israelites, we're not in rulership. Which, when we're in rulership, all this is going to come to an end, man. You know, and that's kind of the point I want to go into. You know, how the earth has been in so much war and all those type of things during the rulership of all these other kingdoms. But now, you know, Lord willing, we're in that transitioning period to where this new kingdom that will come, this kingdom of Yahweh Shah, is going to be peace, man. You know, it's going to be peace. It ain't going to be no more fighting, no more wars, no none of that, right? This Daniel 2. This Daniel 2 and verse 44, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right? It says, and in these, it's like, yeah, I forgot to turn it off, right? It says, and in these days, and in the days of these kings, right, shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall be not left to no other people. It's like a kingdom should not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. So all these kingdoms that don't rule amongst this earth, you know, which the Romans, the Edomites, been the last one, you know, the kingdom of Yahweh Shah is going to break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, right? We're going to swallow them up. We're going to get rid of them, man, right? And it's going to be peace on the earth, right? Right? Because you got to think, you know, when the nations was together, when King David, King Solomon, King Solomon kingdom was wonderful, man. I seen that one of the brothers was breaking that down on a breakdown of a clip of it on Instagram a few days ago. How it was going into how, you know, when people was coming all over to see the kingdom that, you know, that Solomon had, but the kingdom gonna be way more glorious, right? It's gonna be peaceful. There ain't gonna be no more wars. There ain't gonna be nobody coming up trying to take over this place, trying to take over that place, right? This Haggai 2 and verse, it really gets straight to the point. Verse 9, it says, the glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former house. It's telling you how our nation was very glorious back then, but, you know, in the time to come, we're going to be way more glorious. We're going to be perfect spiritual bodies, man, to where it ain't going to be no more sin. You know, it ain't going to be no more, sin, right? It ain't going to be no more wars, none of that, right? In this kingdom, right? Let's continue reading, right? Saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. Saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, in this place I will give peace, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. Right, so in this kingdom, the kingdom of Yahweh Shah, is going to be peace. You know, of course, those 1,000 years we're going to be on the you know, we're going to rule with that iron. We're going to be when they're in captivity, we're going to be on their heads. But once those 1,000 years are up, these other nations are going to be able to go into their land. The other nations gonna be able to go into their land, and ultimately they're gonna still have to follow laws and commandments. But hey, they follow laws and commandments, and they cool. They break laws and commandments, right? Guess what? They're gonna be judged according to the commandment they broke, right? But understand, it's gonna be peace. It's gonna be righteous justice. That's why the scriptures say, right? Romans 8:20. Romans 8:20 says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly." Slack it. Move too fast. 19, slack it. It says, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of power." So the people are waiting on the sons of power to come into rulership. That's gonna be a righteous kingdom. It ain't gonna be no more wars. It ain't gonna be none of that. Nobody will come up because they waiting on us to come into rulership. That righteous judgment, that righteous rulership, man. Because in this world, right? That's why John the Baptist said, "I see a new heaven and a new earth," right? Because this earth's gonna be passed away, right? Because you gotta think, especially when the Greeks come into rulership, it talks about in Maccabees how he made war, right? Let's go to that. And the Greeks was the first establishment of the Edomites, coming to take over, right? First Maccabees 1 and 2, it says, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, because it was his time to rule. That's why he was doing that. But when you understand it, it also goes to how when they came into rulership, because the earth was already wicked, but when the wicked came into rulership, verse 9, after his death, they put all the crowns upon themselves, so that their sons, after many years, and the evil was multiplied to the earth, because now the wicked is in rulership of the earth. So now the earth is totally wicked. Now the earth is going out bad. So the Most High got to destroy this place. That's why we in them transitioning periods from this wicked dark kingdom to the kingdom of light, to this, to the kingdom of righteousness, right? Let's go to it's like here I'm moving fast. We finna start camping a few, Lord willing, right? Right here, 2 Peter 3 and 13 says, "Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness," right? So you got to understand, we're looking for that new heaven and new earth where dwelleth righteousness, man. Right? This place ain't nothing but killing, stealing, because the wicked in rulership, the wicked having his way, And then when the Romans come in, which we in that Rousum Empire still today, they come in crazy. You read 2 Ezra 11, I want to say around verse 40, right? How I tell you how when this fourth beast came, it came and had the whole earth in fearfulness. It came fearful, right? And that's why the Most High, that's why after, 1,000 years up, after Esau done his slavery, they're going to be tied up and done away with. They're going to be tied up and burnt away, man. Because the Most High is getting rid of the wicked, man. Right? Two more quick precepts real fast. 2 Ezra 6 and right here in verse 7, right? It says, "Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of times? Or what shall be the end of the first and the beginning that follow?" So this is going into the transition of the worlds, right? That's how I read, right? The times talk about Esau coming into power, to Esau ending, to Jacob coming up into power. We in the transition of that time, Israel coming into rulership, man, right? So once again, then answered I and said, "What shall be the parting asunder of the times?" Right? The parting asunder of the times was from Esau coming into rulership, right? Through the Greeks, following through the Romans, the Renaissance coming through the Greeks, then they come into the Romans fall, the Renaissance coming, they come back into power. Now they in rulership right now. Right, Edomites, right? They in rulership right now, right? The Rousum Empire, right? And to this place fall, right? Or what shall be the end of the first and give it that follow? Because we know when this place fell, now this place is done. Now the kingdom of Yahweh Shai is coming, right? And we know, right, as it says, just jumping down to verse 9, for the second time, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows." So we know Esau is the end of the world, right? Art thou not remain of the four beasts, which are allowed to reign in my world? So now they're done, they're over with. Now their kingdom is through, right? Let's go to one more quick precept. See the brothers pulling up real fast. Revelation 21, right, in verse 1 and 2, it says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven," right, where all these kingdoms don't rule, right? You had the rulership, you had the Greeks, you had the Babylonians, you had the Persians, you had all these people rule. The Edomites, these people don't have their rulership, they don't have their time on earth, right? It says in the first earth, it's like it. It says, "I saw a new heaven, new earth." Right, that's the kingdom of Yahweh Shai. For the first heaven, the first earth were passed away, and that's this earth here today. But you don't had all these, you don't have these empires. I just named all of them ruled, all of them had their time. Right now they done. He said there was no more sea. There was no more sea. And John saw the holy city, which is what? The kingdom of Yahweh Shai, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yahweh out of heaven, prepares a bride adorned for her husband. So now that new come where it said we read in Haggai was going to be peace. Daniel 2, there ain't gonna be no more war. Ain't nobody gonna be able to come up against this place. This place shall stand forever. The king, what we read in 2 Peter, the kingdom of righteousness, man. Right? You know? Because in the old time, you done seen all the wars, things that such, right? It was all prophecy for it to play out. But at the end of it, this place is gonna be done, destroyed, and out the way, man. And the kingdom of Yahweh Shah is gonna come. That's why the Most High is gonna destroy America. Right? Because this is that revised Roman, this is that America's in that top seat, the rise of empire. And look at all the disruption and the wickedness that it's doing. Because you got wicked rulers, you got the wicked that was going on. When these Edomites, even as you see today, when these Edomites came into rulership, as you see today, they're wicked as hell. They going out causing all disruption, all these problems, right? That's why they said the beast shall hate the whore, because America done came up and done built itself up. Through this, Yahweh allowed them to build itself, as I say, right? And now they got control over the whole company. They got control over everything, and everything is in the earth is trembling, the earth is mourning what these wicked in rulership. So you're waiting on the sons of power to come into rulership, man. You know, this new heavens, new earth, and this new earth, right? This new earth and new heavens and new earth is going to be righteous. It's going to be peace, right? Ultimately, it's going to be righteousness and peace for our nation, the Hebrew Israelites. You know, but understand, there ain't going to be no more war. These other nations are going to serve their time in captivity. Once they're done, they're going to be going back to their land. So, we're going to tie them up and do away with them. We're going to do away with the wicked, man. Right? You know? So, I just want to touch on that real fast. Look, we went through the spirit a lot. We'll do a part 2. You know, just going into a lot of history of the wars and things that happened, things of that such, and how Armageddon going to be that last war, man. World War III going to be that last one, man. You know, the war to end all wars, right? So, with that being said, Lord willing, right? Hopefully that's edifying and exalting. Right? We'll title this one New Heavens and New Earth, Part 1. Right? With that being said, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000.